Battlefield 5, coming October 19th, was just announced earlier, something that I've been anticipating for a long time. Hopefully this marks the first of many first-person shooter games to be covered on the channel. Anyways, when I first saw the trailer, I was really blown away, mainly because of the graphics and how different the game looked compared to any other Battlefield game. But after really taking a good look at it a few times, I started realizing that it has a lot of similarities with Battlefield 1 just by looking at the trailer. However, based on what they told us about gameplay, it's going to be nothing like Battlefield 1. Everything has changed legitimately. However, the trailer does make the game look a lot like Battlefield 1, and believe it or not, a lot of people were not that happy with Battlefield 1. As a matter of fact, a lot of the players that originally played Battlefield 4 dropped from the community because of Battlefield 1, and that's okay. Battlefield 1 wasn't perfect. It was a great game in my opinion, but it just kind of deviated from the core franchise a little bit too much for my likings, and for a lot of people's likings. So that puts Battlefield 5 in a very weird position for most of the community. Us not knowing what the game is actually going to play like, and seeing a trailer that makes a lot of us nervous, that's really not good for the game, but we'll just have to wait until June. Anyways, the community response was very much mixed. A lot of them were complaining about there being a woman in the trailer. I personally don't really care. It kind of ruins my immersion. Yeah, it ruins my immersion a little bit just because I know that there weren't one woman for every man that served in World War II. But that's okay to have women in the game. You know, it adds customization, and there's probably a lot of women out there that would like to play a Battlefield game as a woman. As for actual gameplay, it really makes me nervous because I really don't know what to expect now. I thought I knew what to expect when they were talking to us about it, but then the gameplay just really threw me off in terms of what they... You know, it looks like any other Battlefield game. And I'm not saying it's bad gameplay, but they really got me hyped for this tactical kind of experience that they were talking to us about. And when you go off and watch Jack Fragg's or Westy's video, it reassures us even more. But that doesn't make sense, because why would they give us a trailer that looks like Battlefield 1, Battlefield 4? I can't say Battlefield 4 because it's obviously a different time and setting, but still, it looks like any other Battlefield to me. Craziness going on everywhere. That's just, it's not tactical. But, I mean, I'm going to take DICE's word for it. I'm going to pre-order the game, whatever, yada yada. I'm going to get the game. I'm probably going to have fun with it no matter what they give us. But still, I mean, the trailer's so much different than what they actually told us about. But I love the trailer. It's an awesome trailer. I think they did a good job on it. If they actually showed us what they were talking about, I feel like it would have been a lot more cool and hyped up the game a lot more for the entire community. We would all not have to be having this conversation, or at least this portion of it. Another thing that really threw me off that was in the trailer was all the cosmetics we saw. Usually when we see a Battlefield trailer, and even a Call of Duty trailer, there's no cosmetics, there's no personalization in it, because it really throws off what they're trying to give us as a theme. But in this trailer, we saw a lot of cosmetics, and I'm going to be breaking it down in a video tomorrow. But for example, you saw the katana on that man's back. There was just a lot of crazy things that you wouldn't see in World War II. And that kind of throws everyone off. It throws us through a loop. It kind of kills the immersion. But I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It kind of just goes to show that what they're trying to do with Battlefield 5. Danny on PC tweeted something that made so much sense to me, and he said, "The trailer makes it seem like Battlefield 5 is a more realistic version of Battlefield Heroes," which, if you don't remember, is kind of like a more unrealistic version of Battlefield that they attempted quite a few years back. And I mean, that just makes sense, because it did, especially in the beginning, it didn't look much like a Battlefield game. It looked like a very cosmetically advanced, you know, just very different game that's not Battlefield. He also says that according to Jack Frags, it's way deeper, slower, and more grounded than that, which makes a lot of sense. This isn't what DICE advertised, and this surely isn't what they're giving us. So, you know, we just keep on going back to this. Why would they give us a trailer that looks so much like classic Battlefield when we're not wanting a classic Battlefield? We want a new experience, and what they advertise is exactly what we wanted. But we'll just see. Now I guess we could talk about the graphics, and I gotta say, I mean, this should be no surprise since it's a Battlefield game, but it's the best graphics I've ever seen in a first-person shooter game. And like I said, it's not surprising because we've seen that in Battlefield 1, Battlefield 4, not so much Hardline because, you know, it was just kind of a spin-off, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 2, every game that came out, the graphics blow us away, and so does the gameplay most of the time, but I guess we'll just have to see for this one. Now my favorite part, which is the setting, World War II. I thought this was very, like, kind of a bold move of DICE and Battlefield, because their last game was just World War I, and seeing it go into World War II, I mean, that's awesome. I kind of wanted to see what a modern day shooter would look like on the Frostbite engine, but hey, I was just as hyped for Battlefield 1. I kind of wish it would have came out during Battlefield 1's timescape, though, just because of I was kind of more hyped for World War II games back then. But still, World War II, great setting, awesome. I was hyped for it. I am hyped for it. but in my opinion, they gave a very bad representation of what they're trying to pull off in for a World War II setting in the trailer. Before the reveal, they were talking about all these different operations, grand operations, which we'll be talking a little bit more about in a minute. It just sounds super awesome for a World War II setting. And then they give us this trailer with all these cosmetics and all this kind of weird, wacky, not much of what they were talking about beforehand. And again, it threw us all off. We were just like, wow, this looks like Battlefield. Another reason why this doesn't make sense is before the reveal, days before, they were advertising everything is changing, and then they make a trailer which shows that almost nothing has changed, and they've added even more wacky stuff in it, like shooting a grenade in midair when there's a plane flying by and destroying the plane. I mean, that's not. It looks like Battlefield. It looks like something that Battlefield would add into one of their games, and something that a lot of us probably wouldn't want. In the trailer, it made it look like a mechanic, and that it's going to be happening all the time, when I'm sure either that's just part of the trailer, or it's not going to happen at all in game, obviously, right? And if it does happen in game, it might just be kind of a rare thing that happens, So that was my outlook and kind of the community's outlook of it, and it's not a bad outlook. I mean, we still got to wait till EA and see what the game looks like and plays like. I mean, EA Play, my bad. But how does the game actually look? How does the game feel? What is it like? Well, we don't know. We know what DICE told us. We know what the other YouTubers have told us. And what they have told us is that it's very different. It's very deep. And that there's a lot of changes to the core game, which is amazing. It's what Battlefield has been needing for a very, very long time. So I guess we could start off. I kind of wrote down a little list to go off of. And the first thing I saw or heard of, which kind of made me excited, was changes with the medics. Apparently, they changed a lot of things about the ragdolls in game, and now they're server side, and so you can drag your buddies' dead bodies around, and everyone can revive each other. But if you choose to go as the medic class, you'll be able to revive a lot faster. That kind of goes with what they were saying. Makes the game a lot more tactical. Keeps the squad together. That moves us on to another thing. It's very squad-based, this game is. And that's very different from all the other Battlefields. You can just hop in and join as a squad and run off, because, squads never really tended to stick together, especially in Battlefield 1. It kind of worked in Battlefield 4, though, which I thought was pretty cool. But anyways, whatever. There's also squad streaks. So if your squad is doing particularly well, your squad can call in rockets, supply drops, smokes, weapon pickups, like a really good weapon in the game. Hero kits, which I think is an extremely good weapon in the game, kind of like the pickups we saw in Battlefield 4. And there's no elites or behemoths, which is, thank God, that's all I can say. And it wasn't a bad feature. It was just kind of like a wow factor in Battlefield 1, sort of like the Levolution was in Battlefield 4. And there's also squad vehicles, and I'm not sure exactly how elite these vehicles are going to be, or if they're even elite at all, but you can call in vehicles as, I don't know what exactly to call them, kill streaks, squads, I think we'll call them squad streaks. Also, explosives, they now knock you over, so if an explosive lands too close to you and it doesn't kill you, it'll push you back and knock you over, like you saw in the trailer. That kind of goes back to the thing. It kind of throws us off. Did we see gameplay, or did we see just a whole bunch of shit going down? I really don't know, and we'll have to wait till EA Play. The 4 classes will return, and there will be variations of these classes, so this is a big feature right here. For example, an assault class could have a subclass that kind of specializes in a certain area, and I don't know much about that. I might have explained it a little bit wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's dead on, So, soldier customization. In my opinion, the Battlefield games have never had that great of customization, especially with like the soldier's body. Battlefield 4 had a little bit, Battlefield 1 had none of it. So it's kind of been an on and off sort of thing. Kind of like Commander, huh? But, sorry. Soldier customization in this game is going to be very, very in-depth. Like, you can change your entire soldier. The only thing I could see that you couldn't change was the eye color, and you'll probably even be able to change that. You can add tattoos, face paint, different clothing, and that goes into the gun customization too. You can customize your gun to your certain needs, and now I'm not exactly sure how far the gun customization goes, but from what I've heard and seen, it goes maybe just as far as the clothing does, which is very, very far. Operations will be making a return in Battlefield 5 in the form of Grand Operations. Grand Operations is a lot different from Operations, but it kind of resembles it in the form that the map switches every time an operation is over. One operation equals 1 day in Grand Operations, and it should last 3 days, and a 4th day might occur if the 3rd day results in a stalemate, causing everyone on the 4th day to have very low ammunition and maybe low health. They didn't really go into that, but I think that might be a part of it, not sure. And the fourth day will also be called Final Stand, which, I mean, that sounds really cool in itself. So that's all I really know about Grand Operations. It sounds really cool to me, and I'd really like to see how it plays. But if you want to go see more information, probably go to Westy's videos or Jack Fragg's videos. It'll be the first thing that pops up on YouTube. So now we got a couple things here that are kind of little news, but awesome news, game-changing news about Battlefield 1 in it. It just goes to show how much DICE is pushing the fact that they're moving away from classic Battlefield titles gameplay. So first things first, there's no health regeneration. You have to go to a teammate and pick up ammo and health from them. There's a long reviving animations now, which means if you die, your teammate's going to have to come up to you, any teammate as a matter of fact, and they'll have to do a whole animation to revive you, and a medic would be able to do it the fastest. You can now build front lines and defensive positions, and that is huge. That has never been done in a Battlefield game. You've never been able to build. I liked what Trevor Noah said in the trailer. He's always wanted stuff that wasn't actually there, or something like that. He said something really clever. 3D spotting and HUD minimap spamming, might be a thing of the past. I'm not exactly sure how they're going to move away from it, but this is great. You can go back and see any Battlefield video on anyone's channel, and you'll see them shooting through smoke and dust at little red icons a little bit below them just to get the kill, and you'll never exactly see the person, and it's cheating. It's the way of Battlefield catering to people who might not be very good at a game, or Battlefield in particular. You can now tow vehicles. They were kind of advertising this a bit before the reveal too. I don't know how much of a big thing this is going to be, but you can tow anti-air weapons, anti-tank weapons, and I'm sure you can tow vehicles too, maybe damaged vehicles that are incapacitated. Not exactly sure how far they're going to go on that, but they were really kind of pushing that, so I'm pretty excited to see what they do there. You can now throw back grenades that have been thrown at you, and so this is going to really change up the game, because in Battlefield 1, when a grenade flew into the room, everyone was either dead or out, and the grenades were a big problem too, grenade spamming, so this is going to really change it, and I hope to see very big changes with grenades and grenade spamming. Excuse me if my voice is a little bit hoarse, I've been at this for a long time, but another big change in Battlefield 1, no loot crates. I'm not exactly sure how far they're going to go with this no loot crate deal when they have all these cosmetics. I'd assume all the cosmetics would be unlockable and purchasable. Someone said on Twitter, very clever, what they said was since a lot of community didn't like what they saw in the trailer in terms of cosmetics, like the woman with the robotic arm. I mean, it's crazy, but it's not really something you want to see. It's the price you pay for not having loot crates, is cosmetics that you can pay for. And I mean, I like it. No loot crates, whatever. I mean, I didn't see anything wrong with loot crates, as long as they didn't affect the game as much like they did in Battlefront. Another big change, no premium pass. This kind of connects to the last thing we just talked about, and this is huge. This is huge. It's going to keep the entire community together, and I mean, this is connecting to so many things. I could be talking about 4 different things right now, and it's going to move on to the next thing. But before we do that, we still got to go back and figure out what these not having the season pass, what's the catch for it. Well, we're losing the season pass and loot crates, and that's kind of a big blow to EA and their kind of investor sort of thing they got going on there, because that's a big income for them. That's part of their income. That's part of the reason why they're still paying bills. So I don't know how far they're going to go with this cosmetic system, because obviously they're going to be pushing people to buy cosmetics, and that's sort of their replacement for premium. They're going to add crazy cosmetics into the game. We kind of already saw one in the trailer, 2 of them actually. It was the robotic hand and I think katana I saw on that man's back early in the trailer. And this is going to really kill some people's immersions. And some people, this is fine. And I mean, Battlefield's going to be Battlefield. It's not going to be authentic, truly authentic at the end of the day. I don't think any modern AAA title will be. Is it really going to affect the game? And I guess we'll find out a positive or negative way. I really hope it's a positive way. I hope it doesn't make the game feel any different than a World War II game would. But we'll just have to see. So how is DICE EA going to keep us entertained after the launch of Battlefield 5? I mean, surely there's not enough content in there to keep us entertained for 3 years until their next release. And the answer to that is Tides of War. Tides of War is going to be very different than anything we've ever seen. It's going to evolve through the lifespan of this game, and hopefully until the next release of a Battlefield title. And I really like what they have going here. The Tides of War service is essentially called the endgame of Battlefield 5, and the first chapter will start in November. The first chapter focuses on the German mechanized war machine as it pushes into Europe, and it will last until early 2019. We've seen a little bit of this in games like Fortnite, Rainbow Six, you know, with their new operators, and for Fortnite, it's kind of just their new season for new skins, and people really like it. And this is all for free. This is what they're gonna do to replace the season pass, you could call it, for Battlefield Premium. So, since Premium is being removed from the game, DICE has got to figure out a new way to entertain us past the launch of Battlefield. So starting a month after the game releases, they're going to be launching Tides of War. This is going to be their way to entertain us for months and maybe even years after Battlefield launches. There's going to be a bunch of rewards for playing Tides of War, such as new vehicles, new weapons, timed events, dog tags and emblems, face paint, soldier skins, and weapon skins. The Tides of War service is essentially the end game of Battlefield 5, and the first chapter will start in November, called The Fall of Europe. The first chapter focuses on the German mechanized war machine as it pushes into Europe and will last until early 2019. And in early 2019, I would assume that they would launch another stage of the war, and they'll continually do this until maybe 2020 or 2021, until we get the next Battlefield title. And this is all for free, and that is crazy. This is going to keep the entire Battlefield community together and engaged until the next Battlefield. And hopefully they pick up on this and start doing this with every Battlefield game, because this is awesome. I also forgot to mention, this should have been self-explanatory, but Tides of War will include new maps for Battlefield and apparently new factions. But that is all but confirmed. The maps part is confirmed, but not the factions. You can only assume. So, all in all, there have been many changes in this game compared to Battlefield 1. Battlefield 5 will be its own unique game. I forgot to mention that the destruction of this game is going to be a lot different. You will be able to penetrate through walls just like you would in real life with weapons. A lot like in Saving Private Ryan, which I think is awesome. I've wanted that in a Battlefield game for a long time, and it kind of worked in Battlefield 1, just not exactly any competitive sort of way. So yeah, that's awesome. There's so many new features in this game, and there's a lot that I didn't even mention. I'm gonna leave a link to PCGamer.com in the description. They have a full overview of what changes in the game. There's just so many. I can't go over it in one video. I can't even remember half the changes. They all sound so awesome. So we really just have to wait till EA Play in June to see how the game actually looks and plays. Granted, the trailer wasn't that, you know, it didn't really show that. It showed gameplay, but it didn't look anything like what they were explaining. There was a couple of things in the trailer that hinted towards what they were saying and talking about, but it looked like any other Battlefield game. We're just gonna have to wait. Anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to join our Discord and talk about Battlefield 1's big changes and any other game in general, feel free to join. We're always happy to talk, have a conversation with you. Have a good night, everyone. This has been CitizenZ, and Godspeed.
Launching grenade! I got your back! That's the rockets! Fuck it!